1000 AD. Europe is in the Dark Ages. Most Europeans cannot read. Famine is everywhere. Life expectancy, 35 years. But on the other side of the world, in the cities of Persia, something completely different is happening. Surgeons are performing eye operations. Mathematicians are inventing algebra. Poets are writing verses that will be read 1,000 years later. Astronomers are calculating the exact length of the solar year to within minutes of the modern measurement. This is the Islamic Golden Age, and Persia was its beating heart. When the Arab armies defeated the Safavid Empire in 651 AD, they expected to absorb Persia, the way they had absorbed every other territory. Replace the local culture, replace the language, erase the identity. It did not work out that way. Yes, Persia adopted Islam, but the Persians brought to Islam something the Arab world simply did not have: a sophisticated, ancient, highly developed intellectual tradition. Persian scholars did not become students of Arab culture. They became its teachers. Within just 2 generations, the most important scholars at the Arab Abbasid court in Baghdad were Persian. The Persian language did not disappear. It re-emerged, stronger than ever, absorbing Arabic vocabulary, but keeping its own grammar, its own poetic tradition, its own soul. There is a famous saying from this period: "The Arabs may have conquered Persia with the sword, but Persia conquered the Arabs with the pen." Now, let me introduce you to possibly the most important doctor in all of human history, a man whose medical textbook was used in European universities for 600 years. A man who, at the age of 16, had already cured the Prince of Bukhara of an illness that had defeated every other physician. His name was Ibn Sina. In the West, he is called Avicenna. He was Persian, and he was breathtaking. Born in 980 AD, Avicenna had memorized the entire Quran by age 10. By 14, he was teaching his own teachers. By 16, a practicing physician. By 18, he had mastered every single field of knowledge available to him. He wrote 450 books. 450 on lifetime. His masterwork, the Canon of Medicine, became the standard medical textbook across Europe and the Islamic world for the next 600 years. What did Avicenna actually discover? Let me give you just a few examples, and I promise your jaw will drop. He identified that tuberculosis was contagious and spread through soil and water, 800 years before European doctors figured this out. He described the role of the mind in physical illness, what we today call psychosomatic medicine. He invented the concept of clinical trials, testing medicines on animals before humans. He classified mental illness as a medical condition requiring treatment, not a spiritual punishment. He described the mechanism of the human eye with extraordinary accuracy. He was the first physician to clearly describe and differentiate between meningitis and other brain disorders. Avicenna was not ahead of his time. He was centuries ahead of his time. Medicine was just one of the fields where Persian scholars transformed human knowledge. Now let us talk about mathematics, because the numbers you use right now, every single day, came through Persia. Muhammad ibn Musa Al-Khwarizmi was a Persian mathematician working in Baghdad in the 9th century. He wrote a book, a remarkable book, Al-Kitab al-Mukhtasar fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala. Now, the word al-Jabr in that title, do you recognize it? Al-Jabr. Algebra. Al-Khwarizmi invented algebra. But it gets even better. Al-Khwarizmi also introduced the Hindu-Arabic numeral system to the world, the digits 0 through 9 that replaced Roman numerals. And his name, Latinized as ALGEBRA, gave us a word you use every single day of your life: algorithm. Every computer program running today, every app on your phone, every YouTube recommendation, every Google search, all of it is built on algorithms. That word, that concept, comes from a Persian mathematician in 9th century Baghdad. And then there was Al-Biruni, another Persian genius. Born in 973 AD, he calculated the circumference of the Earth to within 1% of the modern measurement, using trigonometry. and observations from a mountaintop. Alone! He proposed that the Earth rotated on its axis centuries before Copernicus. He wrote about the theory of evolution 800 years before Darwin. Now, we must talk about Persian poetry, because no discussion of Persian civilization is complete without it. And because Persian poetry is not just historically important, it is alive, right now, today, speaking to millions of people around the world. Omar Khayyam, born 1048 AD in Nishapur. By day, a brilliant mathematician who reformed the Persian calendar. A calendar so accurate, it had an error of just one day every 3,770 years. More accurate than the Gregorian calendar we use today. But at night, he wrote poetry. His Rubaiyat, translated into English in 1859, became one of the best-selling poetry books in the entire English language. Words about life, love, wonder, mystery, written 1,000 years ago, still moving hearts today. Rumi, born 1207 AD, a theologian, a jurist, and the greatest mystical poet who ever lived. His masterwork, the Masnavi, is a 6-volume collection of 25,000 verses, exploring love, loss, spiritual longing, the journey of the human soul. And today, in the 21st century, Rumi is consistently the best-selling poet in the United States. Not the best-selling Persian poet, the best-selling poet in America, 800 years after his death. That is the power of Persian poetry. And Hafez, born 1315 AD in Shiraz. His divan is found in virtually every Iranian home today. Iranians open his book randomly to find guidance for their lives, like a spiritual compass. He is called the tongue of the invisible. Goethe, the greatest German poet who ever lived, was so moved by Hafez that he wrote an entire collection of poems inspired by him. In 1219, the Mongol armies of Genghis Khan swept into Persia. What followed was one of the greatest catastrophes in all of human history. The Mongols did not just conquer Persia, they tried to erase it. The great cities of Nishapur, Merv, and Balkh, centers of learning and culture with populations in the hundreds of thousands, were completely destroyed. Estimates suggest the Mongol invasion killed between 10 and 15 million people in the Persian world, a demographic catastrophe comparable to the Black Death in Europe. And yet, Persian civilization survived. Again! Within just 2 generations, the Mongol rulers of Persia had converted to Islam. They were speaking Persian. They were commissioning Persian poetry and art. They were building in the Persian architectural tradition. The conquerors had been conquered. Again. In 1501, a 16-year-old warrior named Ismail rode into Tabriz, declared himself Shah, and established the Safavid Empire, the last great Persian dynasty. The Safavids made a decision that was politically brilliant and historically characteristically contrasted. Declared Shia Islam the official religion of Persia. This single decision created the Shia-Sunni divide that still shapes Middle Eastern politics today. Under Shah Abbas the Great, who ruled from 1588 to 1629, Persia experienced an extraordinary cultural renaissance. He moved the capital to Isfahan and transformed it into arguably the most beautiful city in the world. The Naksh-i-Jahan Square at the center of Isfahan was 4 times the size of St. Mark's Square in Venice, surrounded by the sublime Sheikh Lotfola Mosque, the Imam Mosque, the Ali Kapu Palace, and the Grand Bazaar. It remains a UNESCO World Heritage Site to this day. There was a Persian saying at the time, Isfahan Nesf-i-Jahan. Isfahan is half the world, meaning to see Isfahan was to see half of everything worth seeing. By 1900, the Safavid Golden Age was long over. Persia had been weakened by internal conflict, foreign pressure from Russia and Britain, and a rapidly changing world order. But the story of Iran, ancient, resilient, extraordinary Iran, was entering its most turbulent and dramatic chapter yet. Revolution, war, oil, hostages, nuclear standoffs, and the ongoing question of what Iran's place in the modern world should be. That is part 3. And I promise you, it is just as remarkable as everything that came before. And that brings us to the end of Part 2 of our Iran history series. What a journey it has been! From the Arab conquest of 651 AD, through Avicenna's medicine, Al-Khwarizmi's algebra, Rumi's poetry, the Mongol devastation, and the magnificent Safavid Renaissance. Now, if you jumped straight into Part 2 without watching Part 1, I want to gently send you back. Part 1 covers ancient Persia, from 7000 BC all the way to 651 AD. Cyrus the Great, the world's first human rights declaration, the largest empire in history, the world's first university. Understanding Part 1 makes everything in Part 2 and in Part 3 so much richer and deeper. The link is right here on screen and in the description below. Please do watch it. Now, a quick word for those of you who also trade the financial markets. History teaches us something profound. The people who tracked things, measured things, and recorded things were always the ones who improved. Whether that was Persian astronomers calculating the solar year, or Avicenna documenting every single medical case he treated, the act of recording creates the data for improvement. The same principle applies to trading. I have built 3 professional trading journals, one for each market. The Global Edition for stock and forex traders, the Crypto Edition for Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, and all major crypto exchanges, and the Commodity Edition, the only journal specifically built for MCX, NCDEX, CME, LME, and global commodity exchanges. 25 plus analytics metrics, 6 report modules, AI coaching, complete privacy, one-time payment, no subscription, ever. The links are in the description. If you are serious about improving your trading, the way Avicenna was serious about improving medicine, these journals will help you do exactly that. And now, my 3 requests. And I say requests genuinely, not as a formality. First, if this series gave you something today, if it changed how you see Iran, how you see history, how you see the origins of the knowledge we all take for granted, please press the like button. It is the simplest way to tell me this work matters, and it helps this channel reach people who would genuinely love this content. Second, Part 3 is coming, and I say this with complete honesty. Part 3 is the most dramatic chapter of this entire series. The CIA coup that overthrew Iran's democracy, the 1979 revolution that nobody predicted, the hostage crisis, the Iran-Iraq war, and the question of what Iran's future holds. Please subscribe right now and hit the bell icon, because Part 3 is not something you want to miss. Third, and this one I ask most sincerely, share this video with just one person. A friend, a family member, a colleague, someone who you think would love this story. History this rich, a civilization that invented algebra, cured diseases centuries ahead of its time, and produced poetry that still moves people to tears today, deserves to be heard by as many people as possible. Sharing costs you nothing, but for this channel, and for the people who discover it because of you, it means everything. I am Kate. This has been The Chart and the Chronicle. Part 3, Modern Iran, Revolution, War, and the Republic, is coming very soon. Until then, keep learning, keep questioning, and remember, every piece of knowledge you gain today is a debt to someone in history who dedicated their life to discovering it. See you in Part 3!